2022 may have been a mess charts-wise, but in terms of album drops, this has been a pretty magical year. Normally I would do a top 10 list, but I've expanded it to 22, and even though I know I probably missed some excellent albums, these 22 albums ranked subjectively represent the music that I know I'll be spinning years from now. Just choosing where things went caused me to re-record and delay this video at least twice. So without further ado, here are my top 22 albums of 2022. At 22, we have Superstar by That Kid. I have to shout out my Twitter mutual, That Kid, for dropping this mixtape. I've been following his career with great interest since Taco Bell, but this project is a solid collection of bangers. Songs like Dry to Wet, Room 369, and Full Throttle showcase his hyperpop mastery, while the title track and Unworthy evoke classic late 2000s pop sensibilities, channeling early the fame Gaga. He's truly a superstar. Bastille is still kicking long after Pompeii and Happier. Their fourth record, Gimme the Future, is the first record where they truly outsourced their production credits, with Ryan Tedder taking an executive producer credit. The result, a slick, polished pop record about technological dystopia. Smith's vocals remain the beating soul of the band. Riz Ahmed cameos on Promises, but it's songs like Back to the Future and Thelma and Louise and Club 57 that have me coming back to this record. These hooks are immaculate, even if the album's message can come across as superficial. Does it sound like Target shopping music? Sure, but Harry's House is probably Styles' most even and cohesive effort to date. My primary complaint about Styles in the past is a lack of artistic identity. He fares much better on this cryptic collection of radio pop rock hits. Satellite definitely deserves a single treatment, hands down his Cruel Summer if he does not release it as a single. I'll be honest, I found him because people kept on posting hot photos of him, and he's gorgeous, but Omar Apollo has really made 2022 his year. Ivory's a stunning, unapologetic debut album. He genre hops, showing versatility, and reminds us that he's a really good vocalist. The song Talk evokes the Strokes, Killing Me dives into R&B, but Go Away really shows his aptitude for synth pop. The falsetto on that track is irresistible, and I can't wait to see him open for SZA next year. Muna has always been on my radar. This indie pop band has been kicking for quite a while, but their self-titled third studio album is a smash. They used to be signed with RCA before they went indie, and it shows. There is no filler on this record, no fat. It is a celebration of queer love and just the blast of indie pop perfection I needed this summer. What I Want, Runner's High, and No Idea, co-written by Mitski, are my top 3 tracks. And speaking of Mitski, Laurel Hell has to be one of my other favorite indie pop albums of this year. Lots of fans expected a sequel to Be the Cowboy, but in the 4 years Mitski came back, she came back with an unexpected synth-pop Baroquean masterpiece that has polarized some of her old fans but landed her her most commercially successful and accessible project to date. Should Have Been Me, one of my personal favorites, evokes ABBA, while The Only Heartbreaker, another favorite of mine, resembles the same kind of hitmaker magic that The Weeknd has been conjuring with his recent 80s nostalgia kicks. Heat Lightning, however, is my highlight. It's classic Mitski, universal anxiety, and lyrics that really cut to the core. After Hours was pop perfection, but Dawn FM was some next level melodic work from The Weeknd. Dropped right as 2022 began, I feel like this one really flew under everyone's radar. Conceptually about Purgatory, it's an upbeat exploration of 80s and new wave sounds. Gasoline, Take My Breath, and Out of Time are seminal singles, Out of Time being my favorite track off the record. Another outstanding track is I Heard You're Married, that evokes Prince through electro-funk brilliance and a surprise assist from Calvin Harris. Just delightful. Waves Blood's follow-up to Titanic Rising is a huge step up. This chamber pop masterpiece raises the stakes lyrically and production-wise. It's a perfect record about truly being in the middle of the end of the world. Natalie Merring's grip on melody and song structure here, mixed with a cautiously optimistic view on heartbreak, makes for one of the year's most compelling records. The 1-2 punch of Grapevine, then God Turned Me Into a Flower just broke me. A surprise drop right before summer started, Bad Bunny's fourth studio record shot him into the stratosphere. Topping the charts in its first week, this reggaeton future classic is 23 tracks of utter joy, sorrow, and passion. Titi Mi Pregunto made my top 10 best songs list, but other faves of this record are Tarot with Jay Cortez and Un Ratitio. It's already won a Latin Grammy for Best Urban Album, and it's the first Spanish language album to earn the coveted Album of the Year nomination at the Grammys this year. It is an undeniable smash. I said it once and I'll say it again. Special proves Lizzo is here to stay. Back in 2021, Lizzo teased this album with a scrap bop Rumors, but ended up resetting the entire vibe of the album with About Damn Time. This 12-track superstar-produced LP channels disco and synth pop. It is a gracious, cheesy album with heart and bad bitch energy. To Be Loved remains one of the most underrated single choices of this year, while I Love You Bitch and Birthday Girl remain deep cuts in need of single status. But the album Closer Coldplay's one of the most interesting uses of samples, borrowing from Coldplay's Yellow and Kel Chris's Sudden Death. Definitely worth a spin. I already have a whole review dedicated to this record, and I have to say I now get bends. I'm so sorry. To reiterate my key point, Carly Rae's latest pop effort is proof that cohesion is overrated. The Loneliest Time is a wonderful collection of pop ranging from emotion-style bops to truly out-there jams like Joshua Tree. Shooting Star is still my fave, but the title track, all-time GOAT. I was introduced to this fun indie duo through someone I met at a Carly Rae Jepsen concert. Wet Leg's debut album is essentially the 90s 2000s indie pop soundtrack to the Searchlight Pictures adaptation of Your Life. The lyrics are sharp, rude, alive. It is an assured and confident debut. Teasdale and Chambers take us on an odyssey through psychedelic slacker rock with a bubblegum grunge sheen to it. My favorite track has to be Your Mom, a kiss-off anthem that ends with a declaration that Teasdale's been practicing her loudest scream before she actually does it. And here it is, guys, the top 10. Do not fight me. These are my top 10 picks for 2022. Okay, so technically this is cheating because Namasenda dropped unlimited ammo last year, but 2022 was the year I realized how good of a record this is. Namasenda's debut mixtape, produced by the likes of A.G. Cook, Dylan Brady, and LifeSim, is just everything to me. From the explosive start of Black Ops 2 to Shots Fired being an effusive finale, Namasenda shows us hyperpop is not dead. Normally I would pick one track as a standout, but I recommend listening to this whole record if you're looking for something adventurous, daring, and just utter fun. Following up a debut like Sawayama is impossible, but Rina's Hold the Girl comes very close. This dance pop record continues Sawayama's melding of genre, emotion, and vocals. Clarence Clarity's production work here is top notch. This Hell was a charming lead single, borrowing country roots. Catch Me in the Air is a fun, bouncy, airy rock chorus ode to her single mother, but my highlight has to be Forgiveness, a melodically powerful track about emotional growth. A quick shout out to Frankenstein, another highlight. Hold the Girl may not be her best effort to date, but it definitely is one of the most solid pop efforts of 2022. Ethel Cain has to be one of the greatest pop exports from the hell that is Florida since Ariana Grande. Cain's confident debut album tells a stunning story about intergenerational trauma, her search for identity, and love in a cruel, unforgiving world only to be eaten alive by a cannibalistic psycho. She explores country rock, heartland rock, and American nostalgia over 13 beautiful tracks. No skips in sight. American Teenager should have been a hit, but My Heart Belongs to Thoroughfare, an epic poem covered in country instrumentation. It details her character traveling and falling in love, and in the 8 minutes of this track, I fell in love with Cain. She's set to be a future indie powerhouse. Dare I say it, Gen Z's Lana Del Rey. You can easily refer to my in-depth video about Taylor Swift's Monster of a 10th album, but I have to reiterate how much of a mood record Midnights is. In the dead of night, it is a wonderful companion for sleepless nights and moments of mischief. The 3 AM tracks remain amongst some of her best work to date, and Hits Different has to be my all-time bonus favorite track of hers. We will be listening years from now. FKA Twigs dropped Capri Songs at the start of 2022, but I definitely didn't forget this groovy, melancholic masterpiece. Twigs plays around with some of her most commercial-sounding music to date without sacrificing her integrity in the process. Tears in the Club with The Weeknd could and should have been a radio hit, but it's songs like Ride the Dragon, Poppy Bones with Shy Girl, and Minds of Men that really solidified this album's ranking for me. Twigs has always been a master at fostering intimacy through her music, and I feel like this album hints at a breakthrough record that'll captivate even more listeners. I mentioned her just now, but Shy Girl broke out this year with her debut album Nymph. To call this a pop album would be a travesty. You've got two-step, Europop, R&B, and an Arca-produced reggaeton song that absolutely bangs. Shy Girl and Sega Bodega did an outstanding job producing this record. It's hard to call out just a handful of songs, but a song like Coochie comes once in a generation. I'd say it's a really good track that captures Shy Girl's ability to turn ideas on its head while providing ethereal vocals and energy. Meanwhile, Danny L. Harl assists on Poison, which ingeniously samples the iconic early 2010 smash hit Stereo Love. The closer, Wildfire, has to be one of my favorite album closers of this year, just a masterful debut all around. I have a whole review for Charli's last album on her Atlantic Records contract, and looking back, I think this is my most played record of the year. It's probably one of the slickest pure pop records of this year. Charli has really peeled back from her hyperpop roots, but still proves that she has hooks and a kind of rare attitude that sets her apart from the other pop girls. My favorite track from this record has to be Constant Repeat, which is a career best. It is the perfect thesis statement overall to her ex-boyfriend, to her maybe ex-label, to our preconceived ideas of who she is. You could have had a bad girl by your side. Just perfection. Moto Mami was my top record this year for quite some time. It is one of the most personal, raw, and experimental albums this year. Rosalia really succeeded in creating a living and honest portrayal of herself, revealing truths about spirituality, self-love, and her individuality. It has everything. Chicken Teriyaki is the catchy, TikTok-friendly would-be smash. It features a piano ballad titled Hentai that will make you cry. Cute is a playful track that switches from club banger to piano ballad, capturing her range within a single track. But it's really the closer Sakura that has me stunned. It's one of the most brilliant moments musically this year, in which she uses actual cheers from a previously recorded tour to mimic an arena. This track encapsulates the fleeting nature of her stardom and her career, how impermanent it is, and how she appreciates its beauty today and forever. Moto Mami is currently the highest rated album of the year on Metacritic, and honestly should be up for the Album of the Year trophy, but was snubbed. Rosalia, you will always be famous. We waited 5 years. 5 years since Control proved to be the sleeper hit album of the 2010s. SZA finally came back with SOS. 23 tracks, no skips, absolutely worth the wait. SOS is an evolution of SZA's genreless sensibilities. Debuting at number 1, it is her first number 1 album, and were it not for my pick for number 1, it honestly would have been number 1. My favorite this year. SZA did not miss, from the Princess Diana cover to the overall everything but the kitchen sink nature of this record. This project is worthy of magnum opus status. Kill Bill nearly topped the charts during Christmas for good reason, tilting the iconic film premise of killing an ex into an unhinged earworm of a breakup anthem. Likewise, the play on words for Gone Girl and the build-up in that song towards the final chorus is legendary. Blind teased in the shirt music video genuinely steals the show yet again. Snooze has to be one of my favorite love songs released in the last decade. It's just a breezy, feel-good track. I honestly might make a quick video review just talking about this album, because I could go on for 10 minutes about why this album captivated me so quickly. F2F being the YA movie breakup anthem of the year. I mean, like, nobody gets me feeling like a Camila Cabello track, but lyrically good. Even Good Days, recontextualized years after its release, sounds so fresh, and the Bjork sample in Forgiveless. This album very nearly took it all. Much love to SZA. Well, here it is, and I think you guys all saw it coming. If the Grammys don't give her Album of the Year this year, I genuinely will stop following them for good. Renaissance is Beyonce at her absolute best. There is no perfectionism here. It is her at her most adventurous and honest to date. I didn't realize this, but the title is a direct reference to what she sought to create here, a new era of escapism, joy, and an end to isolation. Beyonce pays tribute to the Black and queer voices that forged today's dance floors, those living and those who did not get to see their legacies. For Beyonce, that's her Uncle Johnny, who passed away during the AIDS crisis. Renaissance is a masterful exercise in sampling. Many of the songs borrow and interpolate and rebuild iconic songs. Alien Superstar samples 3 different songs, as well as Barbara Ann Teer's Black Theater speech. Church Girl, a personal standout of mine, samples has 5 different songs, while Summer Renaissance, the closer, samples I Feel Love by Donna Summer. Beyonce reached far and wide for the best producers out there, even pulling one of my favorite producers, A.G. Cook, for All Up in Your Mind. Cuff It, which many of you said should have made my top 10 pop songs of 2022 list, remains one of my most played songs of the year. It's just a breezy blast of disco that's set to go down as one of her seminal songs. But at the moment, there are 3 tracks that have me coming back over and over. Those are Pure Honey, Energy, and Virgo's Groove. My holy trinity of dance classics that send Beyonce to the very top of my favorites in the genre. The visuals haven't even dropped yet for this album, and there isn't even a tour, but this might be the era that we remember Beyonce for most, and I would not be surprised if she somehow topped herself again. She's on a whole other tier of her own. And that's it! There were many different records that nearly made this list. If you think I omitted something, feel free to drop it below in the comment section. Otherwise, thank you all so much for being a part of this channel this year. I disappeared for half the year, but came back, and I plan to make next year the best one yet, starting with a Lana Del Rey album recap, leading up to Did You Know There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard? So stay tuned for more and some cool surprises. I'll also be doing 2 more live streams this year, so let me know what you want me to listen to with you below. A quick shout out to my members. Thank you so much. And if you're new and you made it this far, feel free to like, subscribe, join this community. It's so much fun. I hope you guys had a wonderful year, and I can't wait to see you next year.